Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekend Roundup show. Sorry for all of these issues, including not having my glasses on. I just had an issue with my internet at 10 to 5, which was 10 minutes ago, and I've just been scrambling to get that sorted. So anyway, we are now here. And we're going to be talking about the weekend of motorsport. Now, there is a lot to talk about. There's many different things that we need to talk about. But there really is only one event that we need to be talking about, really. And obviously, that is the Liqui Moly 12 Hours of Bathurst, or the Bathurst 12-hour race, which, as we all know, is awesome. So, yes, we're going to be talking about that mainly. There was also a very, very muddy AMA Supercross race. And what else was there? That's about it. There was a Toyota Racing Series race in New Zealand? Bear with me, I'll see if I can find it. Bear with calendar and results. What was the weekend? The second and third. Yes, there was. There was a round of the Toyota Racing Series, which we will discuss. But again, sorry about this. We've been having some major issues, as I said. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Right. Okay. Right. I'm with you. So, yeah. Let's start off by talking about Bathurst 12 Hours, which is growing and growing in popularity every single year, mainly because of the circuit and the cars. So, obviously, the circuit is Mount Panorama. Bathurst, used normally for the Bathurst 1000 race in the Australian Supercar Championship, but then in February or early February they do a 12-hour endurance race, which is great. It involves GT3 cars, which are obviously like your supercars, like the McLarens, the Mercedes AMG, Ferraris, Bentley, Continental GTs, but there's also some other class as well. There's like a Group B class, which I think is things like Porsches. There's things like KTMs and KTM Crossbows and Ford Focus touring cars that race in that as well. So, yeah, where to start really? Well, it's a 12-hour race, as I said. It starts in the dark and it goes through until to daylight. And it really is a great race. There's always a lot of attrition in the race because of the circuit. Obviously, I'd kind of say over half the races, or half the circuit, is lined by concrete walls, which a lot of people fell victim to. And on that note, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the highlight video, which has been launched on the Bathurst 12-hour YouTube page. It's a couple of minutes long, so I think we'll have a watch over that and maybe make some comments as we go along. And then we will talk about the main discussion points. So, if we go into this view, you should be able to now see me with that in the wrong place. Oh, this is all old. It hasn't saved any of my old stuff. That's annoying, but oh well, we will manage. We will get through this. Let me just make sure then that this works. Of course, there we go. So you should now be able to see, yeah, this, which was all the right size, but it looks like, yeah, it looks like because I had the internet problems, I reset my computer. And of course, why would it save all of the things that I had done and changed? So all these boxes fitted that you can see on the screen. And yeah, that's annoying, but oh well, it's workable. It's not the end of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick watch of these race highlights. and then we'll go from there, I think. But anyway, this was the 2019 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour race. And sit back and enjoy, because this is really good.
The chance of a three-peat. Here's how it played out at Mount Panorama, an extraordinary Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour at 5:45 a.m. on a beautiful Sunday morning. They sent them into the dark, and we just sat back and watched extraordinary unfold.
Big moment for James Winslow early doors, and Brad Schumacher
lots of crashes. This is a big one. Oh yeah, there's one of the Focus Touring cars. I really like the look of them.
Ferrari for Hub Auto Corsa, a collision there for Yasser Shaheen and the Lamborghini Huracan, and then Garth Tander getting into the back of Christina Nielsen on the approach to the Audi cutting.
Great, is it?
22 did continue, but it was out of contention from that point. Big crash for Danny Stutland as well in the Class B Porsche at the top of the mountain. And this was almost race over for Raffaele Marciello on an outlap on old Pirelli tyres. Andy Soucek, this happened to him twice on the run out
big
of the
talking
pit
point
lane.
here.
The Bentley grinding to a halt.
No!
Soucek in the end scores a top 6 position.
This would be the key moment. KTM expires from second in class with just over 30 minutes to go in the race. Tim Macro left despondent. We're set up with a thrilling finale. And Matt Campbell starts making the moves. That on Chaz Mostert, who was moved out of the way, no doubt. The question is, was it a fair hit check or not?
Let's find out.
Alexander Imperatori was
the lead,
ultimately disqualified after ignoring the black flag.
Oh, for second,
that was the move for second. And once again, this amazing pass had to commit there where his car was strongest. And Matt Campbell was going through, whether Jake Dennis liked it or not.
Matt Campbell, winners with Dirk Werner and one driver I can never remember the name of.
And of course, Le Mans more times than any other brand. Now they add Mount Panorama to their incredible trophy case. And it's all down to the 23-year-old from Warwick in country Queensland.
Yeah. So, as you can see, that was sick. And as you can see, if you type in the chat, it will show up on the screen and we can have a talk about everything. But yeah, Bathurst 12 hours, hey? And let's see if we can just get a... we'll bring up the results so we can talk about it. There's another talking point there on the screen. Let's go down here. Bathurst 12-hour results. So, I think you should be able to see that on the screen just about. Yeah, so in the BMW, the Earl Bamber Motorsport, Porsche 911, the outgoing older version, the 911 GT3, so we had Dirk Werner, Dennis Olsen and Matt Campbell. Second place in the R Motorsport, again, outgoing old version of the Aston Martin Vantage with Jake Dennis, Max Vaxvier and Mikkel, I think, Kirchhoffer. And then in third place again in a Mercedes, or not again, the first of the Mercedes, Maximilian Buch, Raffaele Marciello, who was kind of on to be in F1 at one point in his career, and Maximilian Gutz. Maxi Buch and Maxi Gutz are expert and pro GT drivers. They've been in it a long time. And then you've got the kind of all Australian supercar lineup of Craig Lowndes, Jamie Whincup, Shane Van Gisbergen. And you actually just see here there was a where did I see it? Was it on the front page of this? I can't even remember. No, but there was a picture of him lying down on the circuit after the race, and that was because his helmet cooling system wasn't working. So he was very, very hot, as you can imagine, and yeah, he was suffering a bit, to say the least. But he did post a picture of himself in a bath, drinking beer and Red Bull, so he was all fine. But let's talk about kind of the first big talking point, which you saw there, which was Andy Soucek, the Bentley driver. Just going to find the news story here. Coming to a stop at the end of the pit lane. And we'll just go through it here. So Bentley's Andy Soucek takes blame for amateur errors. So Andy Soucek has got quite a prestigious history. I think he was the first winner of the Formula 2 Championship when it was, a single make category. He has done lots of motorsport, and he has been at Bentley in GT for quite a long time. And he takes the blame for amateur errors, and unfortunately it was one error, but he made multiple times. So Andy Soucek admits he accidentally pressed the kill switch twice on the 108 Bentley Continental while leaving the pit lane during the Bathurst 12 hours, costing the squad a victory chance. They were in the running, they were in the top 3. And at the end of the pit lane, I think it was he was going out for his last stint with 51 minutes to go. He was in the hunt. He was certainly in the top 5, I think maybe even the top 3. And he accidentally pressed the kill switch either instead of the pit lane speed limiter, or, he accidentally knocked it, if you get what I mean. He wasn't trying to press the pit lane speed, he just knocked it with his arm or something while he was doing his belts or something like that. But he accidentally pressed it. He rolled to a halt at the pit lane exit twice during today's race, with the first time coming just after the 2-hour mark when he had first taken over the car. At the Bentley's final pit stop, Soucek repeated the error instead of slotting into second. There you go. With then leader Jake Dennis in the Aston Martin in sight, he ended up rejoining in 7th and more than a minute off the lead, with only 51 minutes of race left. Soucek told Autosport he owed his teammates an apology for twice hitting the switch located on the steering wheel. He said, "I'm gutted. We travelled around the world to come to Bathurst. Everything was ready. My teammates did a mega job. The strategy and car was there. Sometimes you don't have a good day, and it wasn't a good day for me personally. I drove well, but I made way too many mistakes. In all of my stints, I did something. I got a drive-through for passing a car before the line, a slow car. The differential in speed was way too high, but it was my fault. I should have waited. And then I pressed the stop button twice going out of the pits. The car stopped and I had to do a full reset, so all of the blame is on me. I want to apologise for my team who did a great job, and my teammates. It's going to be a tough 20-hour flight home." And that is kind of what you've always got to remember, is that these guys are going to be just flying home after this. And oh God, can you imagine? Painful. And, he put out this tweet to say that he wasn't over it, and he it was his darkest time as a motorsport driver. But, these things happen. It's like scoring an own goal in football and costing yourselves a lead or costing yourselves a win or anything like that. The trouble with it being something like Bathurst is that it is a one-off race. It's not part of a championship. The only pride you get is by winning, or at least getting on the podium at an event like that. And we've all done it. We've all made mistakes, certainly in racing, even myself in karting, when you lock up the brakes and you don't quite release it in time, certainly when it's damp and it swaps ends and you're going backwards down the track. So it does happen, unfortunately, but obviously there's a bit of a higher level when you've got like the backing of Bentley behind you, because it is a works effort pretty much. And I'm sure his teammates weren't happy too, but hopefully they understand as well and can get over it, basically. So that's the first big talking point. And I'd say there's 2 big talking points for the same person. And that was Shane, but no, it wasn't at all. It was Matt Campbell, the winner. Now, he made, as you could see, 2 overtakes in that highlight reel. He made 2 overtakes. The first one was on the BMW of Chaz Mostert, another Australian supercar driver. And then the second was on Jake Dennis in the Aston Martin for the win. Now, the first one I would say was far more controversial. I'm going to see if I can bring that up on here.
Bentley grinding to
turn that off a sec. Turn the sound off. So if I just bring this up here, you'll now see. So he's on the inside here, and he hits him there, which then pushes him wide, which is fine, and then he runs him out wide. Now, having experienced some racing, and by all means, I'm not a pro driver, but at this point, so at that point, he's on the inside and Chaz Mostert is turning in. Now, let's just say that could be one of those scenarios where it's like, he's not coming through, I can't handle it, we need to get second place, and he's just turned in and hope for the best. Now, I don't think at the end of an endurance race that is going to be the best idea in the world, But as you can see, kind of over on the left of the screen there, he's on the inside and he turns in. And then he bumps him out, and then he runs him out wide onto the grass. And people are like, oh, he didn't give him room on the exit. But from my experience and what I've seen and what I've experienced as a driver, you know, racing means you're going to get run out wide. If you're on the outside on the exit of the corner, you're going to get run out wide. Probably if there's not a wall there, like that wouldn't happen further up. They wouldn't literally drive them into the wall. But the idea is it's like, well, I'm on the inside. You need to slow down to get out of the way, basically. So the fact that he turned in on him was a bit naughty. But I think the right decision was made by the stewards post-race, and that was, you know, that there was no penalty. They didn't see that it was unfair, and, you know, he didn't literally just ram him from behind and take over the position that way. He was on the inside, and Chaz Mostert turned in. So I think that one's fair. And then I think the second overtake, which we'll see shortly, bear with me. And I think this one, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that this one was clean, which we'll see here. Just get you on the right screen, which we'll see here. So, yeah, so you see this is the Aston Martin driven by Jake Dennis, who's a great British driver. And he is up the inside. So, again, look, so his nose is there, the same as in the last one, but Jake doesn't turn in on him as much. Yeah, he squeezes him, but he gives him space and he doesn't run him out into the wall because he slots him behind, which is, again, what Chaz Mostert would have done if there was a wall in the way, but there wasn't. So he ran him out onto the grass because he didn't slow down. But, you know, in my opinion, they are both acceptable overtakes. I think we don't want to end up in a world which it's run by a nanny state of stewards that kind of any overtake with any form of contact is, you know, penalised. I just don't think that's the right way to go because it, you know, as I said, it will become a nanny state and no one will be able to overtake each other. Now, overall, they're my thoughts on the win, and I love to see the range of drivers. Like I said, if you have a look at the results here, you know, I've named the top 4 teams there. In 5th, you got Augustus Farfus, Chaz Mostert, and Martin Tomczyk. So Martin Tomczyk, great DTM driver. Augustus Farfus was in World Touring Cars, now a GT driver. Chaz Mostert, Australia Supercars. Andy Soucek and Maxime Soule, great GT drivers in their own right. I haven't heard of Abril. You've obviously got Ollie Jarvis, who put it on pole for Daytona. Stephen Kane, Jean-Christophe Gounon, again, Dallalana, who's Aston Martin, or was an Aston Martin driver. Matthias Lauda, Pedro Lamy, ex-F1 driver. Dave Russell, is he the Australian supercar driver? Todd Hazelwood, Lee Holdsworth, Dean Fury, Tony D'Alberto, Chris Mees, Marcus Winkelhock, Katsumasa Chiosan with Matsuda. You know, all of these drivers are well-known GT drivers, or in this case, you know, Super GT driver. Marcus Winkelhock was an F1 driver, famously leading for Spiker at Nürburgring. Tim Slade, Nick Percat, Van der Drift, we know him because of his name, greatest name. So Roman Dumas, you know, there's names all the way down the list. Gary Paffett, Maro Engel, who obviously didn't make it to the end, unfortunately. Ivan Capelli. Probably missed some people and offended people, but yeah, as you can see, you know, the list of names in there. Nicky Thiem, I'm sure, must be in there. Didn't see him. Maybe he wasn't racing, but yeah. Absolutely amazing race. And if you didn't catch up with it, if you go to our Twitter, which is @motorsportlife_, there's a link to the full 12-hour race on YouTube, which has actually been now put up by Liqui Moly 12 Hours, but it's also on the GT Open YouTube channel. And go and check it out because it was awesome. And also the official Bathurst 12-hour YouTube channel has got an hour by hour highlight. So it's got highlights from hour 1, highlights from hour 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's a great way to check it out as well. I mean, obviously the timings weren't great for us in England, but it is all good stuff, in my opinion, and great to go and watch. So, moving on. Moving on to the AMA Supercross, which, as we can see here, where are we, was very, very muddy. I was meant to have all this, or did have all of this set up, but yeah, so it was San Diego, and it was unbelievably muddy. And if you don't believe me, check this out. So we'll just try and get through this without any adverts, of course. And once that's done, we'll have a look at the highlights. Right, so we're going to have a look at the AMA Supercross 450 class first, with the main event, the highlights from San Diego. And you think you know how muddy it was, but if you didn't see it, then check out how muddy this is. It's pretty unbelievable, and just enjoy it because it's insane.
It was a muddy mess as a gate drop for round 5 of Monster Energy Supercross.
Look at the state of it.
San Diego. Ken Roczen gets a whole shot, and then we go face first down into the mud.
Ken Roczen out of Eli Tomac.
Goes over this tabletop, lands in a rut,
leader down.
Right. That was a costly mistake that potentially cost him the win.
Look at
And he
the
would
mud.
say so in his post-race interview on the podium.
Tomac
Oh,
would
it's
go
like the
into
UK.
lead. Could tonight be the one for his first win of the year? Roczen would work his way past, but problems for Justin Barsha.
Gutted. I really wanted Justin Barsha to do well this year, and he did in the first round. But look at the state of the bike and the tires.
Put himself in position to be on the podium and get back in the points battle, and mistake.
Cooper Webb with a big problem.
Gutted. Somebody stops in front of you. What else did you do? And look how much of a pain it is to get up. So the last two rounds winner, Cooper Webb. This is.
This would cost him a ton of positions and points in the championship.
Justin Bogle had one of the best nights of his season.
Stalling the bike. It's just like a traffic jam because it's so muddy.
Fighting for that podium, but man, you got to take the positives away from the last 2 years. He's had a rough go at it, so fantastic.
And look how much cleaner Eli Tomac is not having to follow people.
He sure did. He never hit the ground though, and that's what counts. Got caught up with this tough block.
Yeah, main thing is didn't have to try and pick his bike up out of the mud.
The bike over a little bit too much, but he'd remount.
Alex Rango right in front of Tomac.
Right in front of the leader.
Eli loses time to a closing Ken Roczen. Tomac was able to move on past, take the win, and then right at the end, Roczen would bobble.
Yeah, not sure what happened here.
There's Roczen on the right.
Muscan had a little bit more speed going through that little whoop section. Ken makes another mistake right at the end.
Cost him a spot and 2 points. That could be valuable when we get to Vegas. Tomac gets the first win of the year, and Monster Energy Kawasaki takes over the points lead.
They take over the points lead. So, no. So if you see here, yeah, so it was Eli Tomac, first one of the year. Marvin Muscan again a second. I don't think he's won one next year, but he has... why won't it... It's asking me to do something, obviously, but I can't... Oh, there we go. Right. I don't want full results. I want point standings. Eli Tomac is now leading with, I think you can still see this, yeah. So Eli Tomac is now leading the championship. You got Marvin Muscan very close behind. Hasn't won yet. I don't think he has just been very consistent with second and thirds. Roczen the same in third. He's had an up and down season. And then Cooper Webb, who we saw had a problem at that round. And then Baggett. Dean Wilson, who's doing great considering he is a privateer. You got Barsha, Plessinger, the old-timer Chad Reed, and then Cole Seeley, who I thought would have been doing better at this stage. So, as you can see, it was very, very muddy. Now, we'll have a look at the
Round 5 in
250
San Diego
class
for the
now.
250 West Championship. It was a muddy one as the gate dropped.
Look at all that water going everywhere. There's Adam Cianciarulo up the inside.
Shane McElrath needed a good night here. It was not to be. It was a struggle.
Oh, look
all
at the
day
pain.
long.
He sure did. He made it a rough night. He had to go to the last chance qualifier. Didn't get a great start in the main event.
Points leader had his problems too. Colt Nichols looping out and down he goes.
Not the night Colt Nichols wanted. Really bummed to see him having a tough night. He's had such a great
Look at his
season.
bike.
Let's hope he
Oh
can
my,
rebound
don't
after
even
this
know what
break.
brand it is.
Down he went again
Brown.
there. Garrett
Look at these
Marchbanks on
two.
the 61.
How
The
do you know who
rookie
they are?
Had a fantastic night on his Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
Yeah, well, him being tall definitely helped him tonight, and it was cool to see the rookie get on the podium. Great job, Garrett Marchbanks.
Dylan Ferrandis at the end of this one sees himself near the finish, sliding down the hill, and then things will get worse after that. But even the leader had issues.
Yeah, Adam Cianciarulo having a few issues here. Look at just how muddy it is. You can
Sitting
see
down
he's
with his
sitting
feet
a
down.
lot, dragging his legs.
Green time winner now in 2019 is Adam
He's been a class act
Cianciarulo.
so far this
And we
year.
said Ferrandis had problems getting even worse. The bike died, credited with like 7th, and Ferrandis would drop in the points. Meanwhile, Adam Cianciarulo has his 3rd win of 2019.
So, as you can see, it was very, very muddy. Now, there is going to be another round, so let's just go and check that out. Right. Oh, God. This is difficult, isn't it? Why don't you get calendar? See it on this? Schedule, there we go. Wow, that's difficult to find, isn't it? Oh. No, I don't want that either. What is this? Other than difficult to read. Maybe we'll find it on tickets. So we've got Minneapolis this coming weekend. February 9th. That is the best thing about the Supercross, or one of the best things about the Supercross Championship, is it is every weekend. I think they only miss one between now and the end of March. Between the start and the end of March, should I say. So, yeah, I love the Supercross Championship. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of a flavour of what it's like, but it is great. And yes, it was muddy, but it's not normally in America. It's normally pretty dry and they're pretty quick. I mean, that just shows how difficult it was. If you know these pro riders are riding around sat down with their legs dangling, just shows how difficult it was. Right, I just need to go for 1 minute, but I will be right back. Right, sorry about that. I am now back. And, yeah, so we're talking about AMA Supercross. It really is a fantastic championship. I would love to go and see one in real life. It's proper, you know, warriors. There's such a high chance of injury. The skill level is so high. The fitness required is so high. Remember, you're stood up, you're sat down, you're moving around all the time. It's not like in a race car where obviously you've got the G-force. But, yeah, it's physical, and I love the characters as well. Obviously, Ken Roczen's German, Marvin Musquin is French, but the majority of the other riders are American. And there's a lot of good coverage around. It's very hard to find live coverage in the UK. You have to pay quite a lot of money. I'll see if it shows how much it is on here. Video pass. Yeah, you have to buy the video pass. I'm just trying to see how much it is, because I remember being shocked and amazed at how expensive it was, but we'll see. Buy Supercross video pass. $130 for the year. $130. I mean, or you may $30 per event, which, I mean, I guess if you're in that whole weekend and you want to stay up late and watch it with your mates or something, then that would be worth it. But just so you can watch the main event, I think that's very expensive. But hey, maybe they'll come to their senses and make it a bit, give cheaper options. Like, I don't want to see all of the live practice and stuff like that. Just let me, pay $5 or $10 to, just watch the main events of the 250 and the 450. So, like, it'll just say, live stream coming soon, and then 5 minutes before the main event, it kicks in, that sort of thing. I think that would be a better way of doing it. But anyway, that will wrap up AMA Supercross. Make sure you check out the highlights on their YouTube channel, but also check out this coming weekend. We've got one coming up as well in Minneapolis. So keep up to speed with that. See who's winning. Check out the riders, because honestly, they are great characters, and there are a lot of good documentary films about Supercross and motocross on YouTube. So go and find them out. But hey, right, on to the next topic. Okay, so we're moving on to MotoGP testing. So it's that time of year, I'm just going to bring this up, where the teams start launching their liveries for the year, and they also start announcing which riders are now fit, because a lot of them seem to get injured towards the end of the season, and also testing kicks off this week. So it starts a lot earlier than F1. So yeah, testing starts in Sepang on Wednesday, so in a couple of days' time. We can have a look at that on the Motorsport live show on Wednesday. And then, we're into the season then, obviously, with a lot of changes, like Lorenzo going to Honda and Dani Pedrosa not being on the grid, and Danilo Petrucci being trusted with a Ducati works drive. Cal Crutchow's coming back. So I guess we'll start off with Valentino Rossi by having a look at this then. So this is the new MotoGP livery for 2019. So the main difference is it's obviously gone towards a more black livery because of the Monster Energy title sponsor, which has replaced Movistar, which is a Spanish telecoms company that used to be their title sponsor, but it's now Monster, which is not massively surprising. Monster Energy tend to tier up their sponsorship. They normally go to a rider, to an event, to a circuit, to then a team. And they've sponsored Rossi for quite a few years now. And they've obviously now decided to sponsor the Yamaha team at the end of Movistar's contract. So they've got Rossi and Maverick Vinales. I think Vinales has got the ability to now step up this year. He's the most recent Grand Prix winner, as it says there. And I think he's got what it takes. I think he just needs to get his head into gear a bit. He seems to be a bit not petulant, but he lets his emotions get ahead of him, whereas the Dr. Valentino Rossi, let's see if he can keep going, man. He got a lot of podiums last year. Love to see him win another title at his age. I think it would silence the naysayers. If he wants to carry on, it's like Kimi Räikkönen. If he wants to carry on, let him carry on, So it'd be great to see him getting back up and running. So let's have a look. So Cal Crutchlow is going to be ready in time for the season. after the huge crash at Phillip Island that at the end of the season, he was forced to miss the final 3 races after a major fall in practice, left him requiring multiple operations on his right ankle, which is never a good thing. But Cal, Mr. No BS himself, has, he is ready to go. And, there's big talk of him being able to win the championship because he's on the same bike, or very similar bike as the factory Honda. I think he has a factory Honda contract. And I hope that... both of Honda's factory riders will also go into 2019 season recovering from injury. Lorenzo will sit out the Sepang test after breaking his wrist in a training accident last month, while Marquez recently said the shoulder on which he had surgery in December is still causing him issues. Now, could this be Cal Crutchow's year? Lorenzo's now got to change his riding style again to match a bike. He was up to a point where he was winning races at Ducati, but came too late. He'd already said he didn't want to race there. Ducati had already signed Danilo Petrucci. So, unfortunately, he's now got to change his driving style. As we said, Marquez is now injured or coming back from an injury, so he's not at 100% fitness. Dovizioso didn't quite have the same speed as he did the year before. And then, Yamaha weren't at the top end, the front end for the whole of the season last year. So could this be Cal Crutchow's year? Fingers crossed for a Brit, because we haven't had much to shout about in MotoGP recently. So Suzuki has launched their bike. So for Alex Rins and Joan Mir, who stepped up from Moto2. I like the Suzuki. I think it's great. Don't know which way around they are. That's bad, isn't it? Because Rins has been there a few years. Yeah, there's not much change from the new livery besides slightly larger yellow and grey elements on the front fairing. And yeah, there you go. So there's the Suzuki X-Star, EC Star. Great looking bike, and they've been doing good things recently, and I hope they make another step up this year. Yeah, so Danny Pedrosa, who obviously left MotoGP because he didn't have a top ride, went to KTM as a test rider, and then he got injured as well, and had surgery. So the KTM riders, Johan Zarco and Paul Espargaro, are both having to do the testing in Sepang. Aprilia, which also retains concessions, will field Aleix Espargaro from Friday onwards alongside tester Bradley Smith. So Bradley Smith is now the Aprilia test rider. A new signing, Andrea Iannone, could join the programme on Sunday. Honda, Ducati and Suzuki will all be represented by regular test riders Stefan Bradl, Michele Pirro and Sylvain Guintoli, respectively. Sorry, just catching up with this. Tech 3 MotoGP man Jonas Folger will be one of the riders trialling the M1 in the shakedown. It's likely to be joined by Japanese pair Nagasuga and Nozane. Great. So there's going to be a lot of test drivers. A lot of test riders out in Sepang as opposed to the full-time riders, but it will still give us a good idea. These riders aren't slouches. But let's see, shall we? I'm interested to see what happens going forwards with that. And if you're not, if you're a four-wheel fan and you're kind of like, oh, I don't like motorbike racing, I do genuinely recommend watching MotoGP. It's very exciting. The races are, they're not too long. I think they're about 45 minutes. And there's always a lot of overtaking because obviously they don't have the problems that cars have, which have got too much grip and rely too much on aerodynamics. They've only got 2 tyres in contact with the track, normally 1 under heavy braking because they are doing stoppies basically. There's no aero or none that, negligible amount around a corner. And, they have long braking distances, which is what encourages overtaking. So there's always overtaking. Pick a man, support them, and get on with it. because it's great. And also Moto 2 and Moto 3 in particular have crazy amounts of overtaking because the motorbikes are so similar in power. So yeah, go and check it out and let us know what you think in the chat, or let us know on Twitter, Instagram, at motorsportlife_ and at motorsportlifeofficial, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there. But anyway, onwards to the next topic. So we are on to the F1 car launches. So these are not too far away now. Let's see if I've managed to find a list of them. Handy, here we go. Perfect. If we switch over onto this, you can see this. So car launches and winter testing schedule. So Haas are revealing their livery. I mean, it'll be because they've got that new sponsor, haven't they? They've got the new... It's not Burn. It's another one. Could be Burn. I can't remember. It's an energy drink who've come on board. So that'll be why they're doing a livery launch. And then they'll roll their car out at the test, I imagine. So they're launching first on the 7th, which is obviously this week. What day is that? Thursday this week. Then we've got a bit of a jump to February the 11th. Toro Rosso are launching theirs online, which is fine if it's a full car. That's not what I have a problem with. It's if you're launching the car, that's what it's going to look like with those aerodynamic bits, then fine. Renault are launching theirs at their headquarters in Enstone on the 12th. Then the 13th, Mercedes are launching theirs at Silverstone, which is just down the road for them. February the 13th, so that'll be a shakedown probably, maybe. February the 13th, Red Bull are launching, but they haven't confirmed where. Interesting. I hadn't actually read this. So Racing Point, formerly Force India, they are launching theirs in Toronto, Canada. Now that might have something to do with the fact that the Strolls, Lance, who is now racing for them this year, along with Sergio Perez, his dad, Lawrence Stroll, owns the circuit and they are Canadian. So I would imagine it has something to do with that. I don't think the Force India, no, well, it hasn't. The Racing Point headquarters has moved. They're based right next to Silverstone on the other side of the roundabout. McLaren are launching theirs at MTC, the McLaren Technical Centre, on the 14th. What a beautiful Valentine's Day present that is for us all. February 15th, Ferrari launching theirs at their HQ at Maranello. And then finally, Alfa Romeo, now renamed from Sauber. The Sauber name is no more for now. It seems to come back a lot. February the 18th, they are launching theirs at Spain. They're rolling it out of the pit garage before they send it out. So, unlike some previous years, with new teams, we're missing tests. It looks like all teams are going to be present for the first test on February the 18th. And I've just realised that's when I'm on holiday with the family. I go on the 17th. No! Might have to do a stream off my phone abroad. See if we can get that working. Yeah, so you see the first test is at Barcelona. Second test is at Barcelona. Now, do I agree with it should be at Barcelona, one of the racetracks? I think it makes it too easy for them to rock up at Barcelona. I mean, there have been, 3 or 4 races by that point, so aerodynamics will have changed, but I think it should be at somewhere like Portimao or Valencia, or they looked at doing the Middle East. Now, I get the costs are probably a bit high for that, or even Magny-Cours or Paul Ricard, somewhere like that. Oh, yeah, but they now use Paul Ricard, don't they? Of course. But this kind of stream of car launches does throw up a question from me. And it's been raised before by kind of the motorsport fraternity, and that is, should they all, as you can see, they never decide to launch on the same day as each other because they don't want to take, the media attention away, which is great, but, it's not massively exciting, especially when it's an online one. They just send some pictures out, to Autosport and motorsport.com and crash.net, and, people write about it and they send out some press statements and some, comments from the team managers saying this is going to be the best car ever. We're aiming to do better than we did last year. We're aiming to win the championship. And, it's not exciting, is it? Now, there was I can't remember who it was, a journalist who suggested that teams do a group launch. And by that they mean they do an event, in a stadium or, you know, a big space like the NEC, but preferably in like a stadium, because you can fit people into a stadium, obviously, to go and watch it live. And they launch the cars. You know, you have a time slot, so it's like McLaren at 10 a.m., Ferrari at 11, Racing Point at 1. Throughout the day, for that hour, they roll out the car onto the stage to go, here it is, here's the livery, here's the drivers. They do some interviews, they do some live stuff, they do some giveaways. You know, they fire T-shirts into the crowd. Everyone loves that. They do competitions. And I think that's what it needs. You look at something like a Fortnite tournament at the minute, and they're just so far ahead. This whole wheeling it out on a... They think that, you know, wheeling it out at their headquarters, it's not exciting. Yes, they might do a live stream for it on YouTube, which, you know, is getting there, but it's not exciting. We need excitement. And that's the way it's going. As I said, like Fortnite and esports tournaments, they're doing these in stadiums with huge screens and, you know, pyrotechnics and and you know, giveaways and loads of stuff like that. It's what people want to see. They want excitement and going, oh, well, they did that. What's this team going to do? And then you know, you've got people talking about F1, which is obviously what Liberty want, you know, across social media with these younger audience. They've got these people doing that, and it's like, well, do it then. You know, tell the teams they have to launch their car. You know, do it on the latest date, whichever it was. You know, the 15th. So they've still got then time to pack it all up and take it through to the test at Barcelona. You could even do it at, you know, at a stadium in Spain on the 17th or something of the actual cars. It's bizarre, and I really do think that that's the way to go. But as you can see there, we've got testing in the 18th to the 21st. Sorry, rant over about that. I went a bit mad there. But I do feel quite strongly about it. So that is F1 car launches. We do need to talk about F1 because it is the pinnacle of motorsport, but it's not what we're going to dwell on. But anyway, on to our final topic for today. So, the final one is something you may not be aware of, and it is the Toyota Racing Series. I'll bring it up on this screen here. So, it's called the Toyota Racing Series, or it's no longer the TRS, or is it? Yeah, the Castrol Toyota Racing Series, yeah. So, this is a single-seater championship that happens in New Zealand. And here you have the round. So it's round 1, starts right at the start of January, Highlands, and then Tiratonga, and then Hampton Downs, and then Taupo, and then Manfield. So we've just had this weekend the Taupo round, and you might think, oh, it's just this little series that no one pays any attention to. Well, none of the mainstream media do they? No. Where is it? There's no mention of it on Autosport. But yeah, what you'll see is there are some familiar names here. So Liam Lawson is leading it. Marcus Armstrong is second. But third is a certain Lucas Auer, who's done a lot. He's DTM driving. He has done, you know, F3. He's done multiple things. Artem Petrov. It's either cousin of or nephew of Vitaly Petrov. And Petru Florescu I've heard of as well. And in previous years, you know, big names have done this, and there's one simple reason for it. It's kind of almost because there's not that much coverage of it, and it's single-seater racing in the off-season, in winter, which other than Formula E doesn't exist. All of these races, you know, like Daytona and Bathurst, they're all GT or sports cars. So it gives people, it keeps their eye in, you know, it keeps their, you know, race pace up, keeps, you know, neck muscles and things like that up. The weather's normally good, and if it's not, you still get kind of, you know, good, relevant wet weather racing. And it's a good, what's the word, kind of talent field. So it is actually really good. And it really annoys me that people don't get to see it. We'll see if this gallery loads. Here we go. Waiting. Wow. Okay. Right. 2012 season's the last gallery. This is the driver list. I wonder if they have a bio. Yes, they do. So let's pick one. So Marcus Armstrong. Banned in karting, age 7, and ramped up shortly to win cadet national title, second overall in restricted class in New Zealand school. In 2012, juggling study with motor racing both in New Zealand and winning the Kiwi 100cc junior restricted title. So he raced in the Toyota 86 Championship, which follows the same calendar, but it is in race versions of Toyota GT86. So at the same time, he began testing in Formula Renault, then contested the penultimate round of the Formula Renault 2.0, and you see it Nürburgring and the final round of the British F3 Championship. So, you know, these people have got experience. So let's have a look at Liam Lawson, because he is winning the championship currently. 16. Again, why can a 16-year-old get experience when they are in the winter in single-seaters? Last summer, Lawson fell short by several weeks. Now he's the first confirmed New Zealand driver to five. In Europe this year, contesting a highly competitive German F4 Championship, finished second to match his runner-up position in Australian Formula 4 the year before. German Formula 4 is high level. Lawson last raced at home 2 years ago when he won the New Zealand 1600 Championship. So, I mean, this guy, again, by the age of 16, look at the experience he's got. It's ridiculous. This will definitely play on his relationship with Vitali. Wow, it doesn't. He is related to him now. ADAC Formula 4 Championship in Germany, European F3. You know, these people have got great experience. Lucas Auer. Post-Hungarian Grand Prix mid-season Formula 1 test for Force India and full-season DTM in 2018. Part of the Works Mercedes racing program, I was regarded as one of the best up-and-coming drivers in the racing. He's going to be successful in a wide range of formula. And the fact that he's up and coming at 24 shows that his career hasn't quite made it where he wanted it to. He obviously wanted to get into F1. But doing a full season in Germany, and then you see Mercedes are putting a worked driver in this championship because it keeps their eye in. They're racing on slicks with wings. It's relevant. It's great. And yeah, the last round is this weekend coming up. So keep your eye out for that. And to be honest, when I was looking into what motorsport is coming up this weekend, which will round off this stream, I could only find AMA Supercross, which is awesome, and the New Zealand Toyota Racing Series. I think there is a NASCAR test, potentially, or that could be next weekend. But yeah, if you know of any other motorsport happening this weekend, then do let me know down in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or let me know on Twitter at motorsportlife_. But yeah, that is going to be this weekend, and then we will have had the MotoGP test at Sepang from Wednesday, and then into next week where we have F1 car launches. Oh, there's one this week, isn't there? But then next week F1 car launches before the F1 test the following week. So there's lots of motorsport coming up. There will also be Formula E. I'm just going to check when the next one of those is. When's the next round? Why does it never have it in big writing when the next race is? Blows my mind. Oh. Oh my God. Race calendar, finally. I've had to go into results to find it. And now it's not loading. Obviously. I mean, why would it load? Right, here we go. So, yeah, we had Antonio Felix da Costa win the first round, then Jerome D'Ambrosio, then Sam Bird in Santiago, and then we got Mexico City on the 16th, so it's next weekend. Not this coming weekend, as I suspected. But yeah, I really do hope that you have enjoyed this stream. It's been great doing it. I love talking about motorsport, and I hope you guys don't mind listening to me as well. But as I said, leave me a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or follow us on Twitch, and catch up with us on the social media handles that you can see in the bottom right of this screen. But again, thank you so much for watching. But until Wednesday for the Motorsport Live show, thank you and goodbye.